Watching statecraft, the big news coming in is Lebanon comes under attack once again. This is the second day. The first day we saw pagers exploding. Today we are seeing radio sets, which are walkie-talkies, communication sets that have exploded across Lebanon. Reports that are coming in are saying hundreds of them have been injured in this new wave of explosions and attacks across Lebanon. We are also given to understand that these are all linked to communication devices. We have Colonel Rajiv Agarwal who joins us. He's a security analyst and also writes a lot for the India Today network. Colonel Rajiv Agarwal, thank you so much for joining us. I'll come to you to discuss exactly what this modus operandi is, what's the reason and the thought behind what Israel has been doing. Although officially, Israel has not really come out with a statement.
Correct.
If we thought that Ismail Haniyeh's death was a huge blow to Iran because it happened within Iranian soil and an embarrassment, what's happening to Hezbollah in Lebanon is absolute humiliation. But before that, let's just go through the visuals that have come in when it comes to the blasts. These are visuals of burnt cars, vehicles, shocked people trying to run, people being taken to the hospitals, emergency services pressed into action, buildings and apartments in various buildings blowing up because the walkie-talkies that they were carrying, individuals who had it on them or on the person. And now we again have to wait and see what the injuries are going to look like. For now, they're saying 100, and we do not know how many of them are absolutely critical. Yesterday, there were 2,780 injuries, of which 200 were critical, 11 deaths so far. So the numbers only on the rise, and the situation absolutely concerning when it comes to security within Lebanon. We have one medic officer or a medical worker who spoke about the situation on the ground. Let's just listen into her, and then we'll come back.
من بلش يبلشوا يجوا المرضى وتشوف الحجم الدمج اللي موجود والضرر الموجود، فطبعا انا وزملائي كلنا حالة طوارئ، كلنا بالعمليات، ما ترددنا ابدا، بقينا من مريض لمريض. كنا عم نقوم مش بس بترميم العيون شخصيا، بكل العين وجه الدين اللي كنا عم نقدر له، وبعنا بدون توقف. يعني انا اخذت الاستراحة تبعولي على الساعة 5 صباحا بالمكتب بيتهون، وهلا رجعت صباحا من بعد استراحة محارب مثل ما بيقولوا، وبعدنا مستمرين موقفنا.
Well, difficulties, a lot of them coming with severe injuries. The Iranian ambassador to Lebanon also suffered grave injuries, and reports suggest that he is blinded in one eye. But these are not the only reports. Hashim Safieddine, who is the Hezbollah official, has said that this is a new phase for Lebanon, and that Israel should be expecting punishment coming their way. Now, they have vowed revenge. This we've seen in the past also. What is again very interesting, and we're drawing comparisons to what happened in Iran and now in Lebanon, is that after Iran, we had a lot of experts, including Colonel Rajiv, and we were talking about how this could lead to escalation. It hardly led to escalation, Colonel Rajiv. What we are looking at right now is absolute humiliation for the Hezbollah within Lebanon. But while they want to avenge these attacks, do you think that Hezbollah and Lebanon would be able to do that? Iran still hasn't when it comes to Ismail Haniyeh.
Thanks, Geeta. Thanks for having me on the show. And I was just, as I was discussing with you before the show, this war just doesn't stop, throwing surprises and astonishing us. And this latest thing which took place yesterday of the pagers exploding is a perfect example of what I would say technology and intelligence services combining to provide very, very innovative solutions on the battlefield. And one might argue that, Israel being a state, why it has resorted to actions which normally non-state actors resort to, but that is a separate discussion in itself. But this attack, a mass explosion of pagers, has really taken this battle in Gaza to yet another level and we have to yet to see how it now follows up in the coming weeks and months.
What do you make of the modus operandi itself? I was talking to our colleague Ankit Kumar, Colonel Agarwal, and what we saw there is that this could not have been done only with overheating of the pages, that there is a system in place. This seems like a spy thriller right out of a movie. But what, according to you and your reading and your research, could the modus operandi be? How did they
Yes.
manage this?
I mean, when I read this throughout the day today, I was reminded of the assassination of nuclear scientist in Iran in 2020, if you recall, who was shot dead through a remotely directed gun in which there was no operative required to, operate it and assassinate him. So this again is a very, very kind of innovative standoff technique which has been employed. Various theories are in place. In fact, I wrote about two of them today only. One was the aspect of overheating of batteries, but that overheating of batteries cannot lead to explosions which may dismember limbs and damage faces and eyes. The other theory was that maybe the whole consignment of these uh, pages which were ordered by Hezbollah may have been sabotaged. But that again, falls through seeing what is happening today. The walkie-talkies are going off, the telephones are going off. So again, that theory of the entire consignment being sabotaged and small, minute explosives being placed inside or beside the battery and then being remotely triggered. Again, it somehow falls through seeing what is happening on the second day. So there is something which is very unique and very, very sort of science fiction, which we might discover only with time. But right now it is very difficult to say how it triggered yesterday's attack and how it is triggering the attacks which are happening right now as we speak.
Well, very interesting this is the assessment that you're looking at. But again, a very interesting take on this is the fact that Israel hasn't spoken, didn't speak after Ismail Haniyeh, hasn't spoken now. We know exactly why they didn't when it comes to Ismail Haniyeh. It was well within Iranian territory that an assassination was carried out. What's the reasoning for Israel not to be owning or claiming this attack? Again, the same reasoning?
No, so I mean, there's nothing to be surprised as far as this is concerned. Israel has never been known to lay claims on any successful intelligence operation, whether in the past or in the even in the recent past. It didn't claim the attack which took out the IRGC commander in Damascus on 1st of April. It has not yet, confirmed or claimed the attack on Hania, which any other group or would have been very proud to claim of, and it will never claim even this yesterday's or today's attack. That is the modus operandi, and their silence means a sort of acceptance, because if they were not involved or it was going awry, then they would have come out and said, no, this is not us.
Right. So Israel hasn't, but neither has the United States of America. If anything, the US has come out and said that they had no idea about what really is happening in Lebanon and the plans of the Israelis or whichever country that is involved. Listen into US State's Secretary of State Blinken talk about the issue.
The United States did not know about, nor was it involved in these incidents, and we're still gathering the information and gathering the facts. Broadly speaking, we've been very clear, and we remain very clear, about the importance of all parties avoiding any steps that could further escalate the conflict that we're trying to resolve in Gaza, to see it spread to other fronts. It's clearly not in the interest of anyone involved to see that happen, and that's why, again, it's imperative that all parties refrain from any actions that could escalate the conflict.
Well, very interesting, Colonel Rajiv Agarwal. The fact that there are reports that suggest that the Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, spoke with the U.S. Secretary of Defense, and minutes before the attack, informed him that this is what they're going to carry out. But the State Department and the minister, which is Secretary of State Blinken, have come out and said that they were not aware of this incident in advance. Can Israel, the fact that you track them so closely, the region and particularly what's happening between Israel and Palestine, can Israel really carry out an attack without America not knowing of it at all?
Uh, to an extent, it is possible because it is not an operation or a strategic level operation that was carried out by Israel. It is a tactical sub-level operation. Basically, it is more of a action which is based on attrition, mass losses to Hezbollah, and more inflicting casualty on the confidence and command and leadership than the actual physical one. And I would add here, it is actually really ironical that Blinken is in Egypt for taking forward the ceasefire talks, and on the same day
That's
these
correct.
attacks takes place.
Right, that's absolutely correct. But again, this is not a tactical attack that was done in a very short span of time, Colonel Agarwal. This was done, planned months in advance. If we're looking at October 7th and we look at what is happening right now, we're closer to October, but the consignment that was picked up by Lebanon was about 5 months ago.
Yeah.
So Israel, this is a really long plan. It's a long-term
Absolutely.
plan from by the Israelis. In such a scenario, do you think America would not have been kept in the loop at all? Because we are talking about supply chain over here, even if there was human intervention.
Uh, I would still say that knowing the way intelligence services work, there is a very close need to know sharing basis in exchange of information. And 5 months on, 5 months back, even if this thing was planned and the consignment was intercepted, they would not have planned it to the day that it would happen today. And so whether they inform them 5 minutes or 10 minutes or half an hour in advance, that is basically a call of courtesy between the two agencies or the military or defense forces. But to the extent why I say tactical, because the targets that were intended to be or the people who are intended to be target are basically the ground level or basic level cadres who are spread right across Lebanon and who carry out the basic level tactical or sub-tactical level operations of Hezbollah. So, to my mind, the execution of this attack had a tactical intent. However, on a very large level or an operational level, it is bound to have an effect on the confidence and command and structure of Hezbollah. And especially for an organization which is so large and so widespread, if they have doubts over how they are going to communicate and pass the instructions, and adding on to what is happening today to the walkie-talkies and other mobile devices, it is going to be very difficult for Hezbollah to come up with a new communication strategy, how to communicate directions and instruction to its cadres to carry on with this war.
Well, I was just coming to this question. You just mentioned it. We've seen the pagers, which is a one-way communication. We saw walkie-talkies, radio signals. Have they advanced, or are they that advanced to have breached mobile phones? Do you think that can happen? That it could happen next? Because these are consignments that can be tracked. We're looking at one huge consignment that's bought, and these are instruments, communication devices used by the extremist groups. Here we're talking about mobile phones that any person can have, common man, civilians, politicians, leaders. Can that breach happen to the next level where we look at mobile phones as well?
See, Geeta, in this, we have to see two different things. One is the possibility of how these devices were rigged. And in that, we have seen that there was a consignment 5 months ago. It could have been rigged, small plastic explosive planted, etc., which is, again, a theory which needs to be proven. The other thing is, how are they triggered? They are triggered only through use of a transmission and reception system. So, as I wrote today in India Today only, anything that transmits can be targeted. So whether it's a walkie-talkie, whether it's a pager, whether it's a mobile device, whether it is a laptop or a tablet which is connected to the internet and it's transmitting, anything that transmits can be targeted.
How? If Because this is not overheating, right, Colonel Agarwal? This is not overheating. There is something that they're doing to the system.
Absolutely. I said this just a few minutes back also that the two theories, one was of the overheating of the batteries through a remote spike, signal to the pagers. The other was, what you also mentioned 5 months ago, the entire consignment was
Yes, yes.
sabotage, etc. But when you take it forward to what is happening today, both these theories somehow seem to fall flat because you could have sabotaged one full consignment of pages which are coming in 5 months ago. What about what is happening today to other communication devices, including walkie-talkies? It can't be that anything and that everything that Hezbollah is using has been intercepted, sabotaged, rigged, and now is being, targeted. There
No,
has to
which
be
is why
something
I'm
more.
asking how? How? Because this is not overheating, right? For sure. That there is some explosive material for it to just blow up.
Correct. So,
So, how has
how
Israel
how
managed that?
how the explosive is either there in the device or not there in the device is a question that we can leave to the side right now, because that
Hmm.
we may not be competent enough right now to
Yes.
answer. But I can definitely say how it is being executed. Execution is through a remote signal which can be given on a radio frequency, which can be given on a cellular signal, which can be given through a Wi-Fi network. And so any kind of a transmission which is received by a device can be spiked, can be hacked, and that could result in the desired effect that you want on any device.
Okay. Now, when it comes to the device itself, we have Sputnik that's come out with reports. These are Russian media networks, and they're talking about the device itself. A lot of questions when it comes to who manufactured the pages. Now, the Taiwanese company that's named, the pager has the name, says that they had outsourced it to Budapest and that they were not involved. Uh, we'll have to wait and see whether if the companies involved in the walkie-talkie manufacturing or what are they going to say. For now, what we are given to understand and what we believe through reports is that the walkie-talkies, the destroyed walkie-talkie photographs that are now coming out, are that of Baofeng communication devices. Now, is there any knowledge that you have on what really this is? Is this a Chinese company that we're talking about, a Taiwanese company that we're talking about?
Geeta, right now it doesn't matter which company these walkie-talkies or these pages are from, or whether the original company from Taiwan had outsourced it to a company in Budapest who then manufactured it. That is all beside the point, because I don't think that this rigging has taken place at the time when the devices were being manufactured in the factories. the
Mm-hmm.
o- the only plausible thing that could have happened was that it has been either been rigged somewhere between the shipment and the receiving of the devices by the respective groups and people, or there is something which is already there in the devices as a part of their basic architecture in terms of chips, in terms of batteries, which can be concocted or in a manner and hacked in a manner that they can cause these minor explosion, which right now I don't understand, and maybe as time passes, more and more details will come out.
Right. For now, just for the benefit of our viewers, reports that are coming in is that it's Baofeng, which is a Chinese company that actually manufactures walkie-talkies and some other products, but it is a leading Chinese company in the high-end new energy and new material industry. Walkie-talkies is one of their most important products. They're massive manufacturers of walkie-talkies, but now and have factories across across the country within China, and the products are sold all over the world, which includes the whole of Europe, United States, Japan, Southeast Asia, South
Correct.
Asia, West Asia. and Africa. So we do have West Asia, Colonel Agarwal, where again we'll have to wait and see what the company has to say and seek a reaction from them. Coming back now, and let's zoom out a little because that's what you do brilliantly when it comes to the war theater and how it's going to impact the war theater. Are you seeing an escalation with this?
I mean, this is not a normal act within the ongoing war in Gaza, and it is definitely likely to have an escalatory effect. And especially so that now that the pager attacks have been followed by attack on walkie-talkie and other communication devices. We also have to keep in mind that just a day before this, the Israeli Security Cabinet had met, and they had added a fourth dimension to this Gaza war, and which was the safe return of settlers in the north, which meant that Israel was now getting ready formally and proactively to counter the Hezbollah threat in the north by a proper operation. And why this has led to a situation like this is because in the last few months, especially after Fauzi Chopra was assassinated on 31st of July, Hezbollah has really upped its ante and has targeted number of locations in northern Israel, including
Yeah.
major communication and military centers. And thousands of Israeli settlers have been forced to flee from the north and come to the central and safer areas in Israel. So on 16th of September, the Israeli Security Cabinet passed a resolution that they are adding a fourth objective to the war in Gaza, that is safe return of settlers. We all know what the previous three were. The first one was elimination of the threat of Hamas forever. Second was to ensure that Gaza never poses a threat to Israel ever in the future. And a third one was the safe return of hostages. And all three are still to be, completed or seen into some sort of success. And now they've added a fourth dimension to this whole effect.
Right. Again, a very interesting one. But do you think, in your assessment, do you think Hezbollah has the wherewithal right now to take on Israel? And I'm not talking about escalation or retaliation, but just the fact that they've lost so many soldiers, even if not in death, in injury. There's so many who are injured. There's so many who are in hospitals. About 30 Lebanese Red Cross ambulances are pressed into action as we speak. Today, there were so many. Yesterday there were four main areas where we saw all these women, all these people who were in possession of the pages blow up. Today, it's walkie-talkies, so it's spread across, it's spread widely because we are seeing them in apartments blowing up because somebody must have it in their apartment, in markets, in roundabouts, driving, vehicles blowing up. So in all this, after so many injuries, 2,750 or 80 alone yesterday, injured, not in commission anymore, at least for the brief period or a short period of time. In such a scenario, do you think Hezbollah has the wherewithal to even escalate at this point in time? Because right now they must be fearing any electronic device. How would they coordinate? What will they coordinate with? And how will they regroup to really plan an attack?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a major challenge for Hezbollah, not more so in terms of the cadre or the arsenal or the weaponry that it has, because it has gotten plenty. 2,000, injured or a few killed is not going to be detrimental to their overall military capability. But the more important thing is what you just mentioned, that how are they going to communicate the instructions or the operational targets or the directions, war strategy to their cadre. This is going to be a challenge because everything and anything that they use is going to be under threat of interception, and they would right now lack confidence on any communication device. But the important thing to remember is Hezbollah is not going to be in any hurry to launch a counter attack on Israel. Time is there on their side. They are not in a hurry. They are there in Lebanon. They are anchored there, and it is the Israelis who are fighting their way to get their northern areas cleared so that their settlers can come back. So yes, Hezbollah will take time to regroup. Hezbollah will take time to find effective ways of communication and coordination. but they are not down and out.
Right. These are the pics, Colonel Agarwal. If you can just see, these are the
Yes,
pics
I
that
see.
we're talking about of the walkie-talkies, and the name that is doing the rounds is Baofeng. Again,
Yes.
like Taiwan said, they officially had said yesterday that they're not they're not the manufacturers. The Chinese also have to. This Chinese company also has to come out with a statement, and certainly it's not a state involvement with Israel. With Israel. And it certainly can't be China, but the fact that we still have to wait for the company and some confirmation coming. These are just reports from various media houses who saying that these are the walkie-talkies that were used. Pictures from various blast sites. Now, in terms of state involvement or involvement of states, this certainly is not going to be the one. But the United States of America, or for that matter, the Western countries who've supported Israel. Why do you think the timing of it is so crucial? I give you this, and I'm saying this because I suppose for Israel they are on a tight, very tight leash and are time bound, and the timer is November 5th. Should
Fifth.
Kamala Harris win the elections, they will not have this elbow room. Should Trump win the elections, they will have all the space to do what they want. But you cannot be taking a chance. So they're trying to maybe do whatever they can within this period where, at this point in time, it does seem like Kamala could win the elections. Is, uh, what do you think the assessment is? Am I right in saying that this is the time period that they're looking really at?
I mean, you are right that November 5 is an important timeline for Israel, and the events that have been taking place in last few weeks, or especially since July, are a clear indicator that Israel is not looking for a early ceasefire or early end of war. They want to prolong it to a point that they are able to cross the line in November, and not only November, in January when the new president takes over, and that is the point when they will see how this war has to finally end, if at all. It has already become the longest war in Gaza or in the region ever since 2005. So, sorry, 2007. So, I agree with you that November 5 is an important timeline, for Israel to see that the tempo of war does not die down. There are no proactive, reasons or opportunities for a ceasefire deal to take place, and then see how it goes once the elections are over.
Okay. Again, very interesting that yes, for now, they are looking at November 5 as a massive deadline, because if they do not cause the kind of harm they're causing Hezbollah or the Hamas, that should Kamala win the elections, that they will not have that window. Having said that, and we're now running out of time, but so having said that, just going back to the incident itself. Again, you've been assessing the situation. Have you ever come across a plan as elaborate as the one that Israel has carried out? You did mention a few instances in the past, but this is more elaborate than that. The fact that they know exactly what they're doing, it's fixed. The pagers first, then come the walkie-talkies. What next?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt that this is going to be the most elaborately and well-planned operation, and it has, to some extent, brought back some kind of a reputation or face saving for the Israeli intelligence agencies, which are, under a lot of flack for the 7th October attack. So it is definitely one of the most elaborate sense of attacks that I've ever come across, and kudos to whoever has pulled it off so successfully.
Do you think this also would be redemption in a way for Netanyahu and his government? Because we are now seeing many who support Israel and Israel's cause absolutely celebrate this moment as a huge intelligence win, a huge military win, a huge defense win for Israel. So is that in a way, not just redemption, but some recovering some lost ground for Netanyahu?
Absolutely, I agree. I mean, he's been under the pump for so many months on all counts going into this war. And this has been one really good news, which we can, rejoice and pat the intelligence agencies on their back. If you recall, just a few days back, a a hypersonic missile from Yemen was fired, and it evaded all the air defenses and fell very close to Tel Aviv. It didn't cause any casualties or damage, but it was an embarrassment because it was able to successfully evade all the air defenses. And so many other things have happened. So this is definitely, a moment for a sigh of relief as far as Israel and its intelligence agencies are concerned. And they can only build on it to see how their military objectives are now achieved in whatever time they have.
Well, that's a very, very interesting conversation, Colonel Rajiv Agarwal. We'll keep coming back to you because this is a developing story, and there's so much to understand, so much to unravel. We've been trying to understand what the timeline is, what they've been trying to do. There's so many varied voices. Some say it was done remotely, some say human intervention. And in terms of how it was carried out, the lengthy, elaborate process that you just explained, the politics of it, the geopolitics of it, all of that will be discussed here on India Today Global. For now, Colonel Rajiv Agarwal, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Geeta. Thank you for having me.
Well, that was Colonel Rajiv Agarwal speaking to us, discussing the matter. This is one of the biggest stories that India Today Global has been tracking since yesterday. There are many stories we've put out there as to what that pager explosions were all about. How did Israel really carry them out? Then there is this entire story that we are now going to put out on the walkie-talkies, what that has all been about, the events that took place, a chronology of events, and yes, we will have our awesome team break it down for us as to exactly which are the communication devices that are involved, companies that are involved, how it could have been done. But keep watching India Today Global if you want all the details on what's happening in Lebanon and how it could impact the region when it comes to the Israel-Hamas war. Thank you so much for watching India Today Global.